So the first test of the Build On License exam actually begins with the first test is the whack-a-nail mole. Now, it's actually like whack-a-mole, the game that you actually hit moles and actually get tickets. But this one is actually a whole lot different. Instead of like a arcade games, they're actually giant moles. But here's a twist. They actually look like nails with spikes coming out of the back, in which this could actually means trouble for Tankachi and the others, where we actually see how the definition of vulgar actually means the very essence of a living thing that actually has the energy to allow him to survive. In nature, we actually see how they achieve the power to maintain the status quo, which the trees that are tens of thousands of years, and the rocks and other inorganic matters doesn't actually have that. Even in the healthiest conditions, they actually believe they actually contain vulgar as well. So now, the living being who actually has the vulgar inside of them, but it actually requires a certain quality to maintain in order to manifest the power extremely. So in other words, it actually requires someone to build strong posture to actually require the vulgar methods of construction exam, in that of which they actually going to prove themselves to get their build on license, in which the examiner actually explained to pass the test they had to, in which when the test actually begins they had to hit a nail mole when it actually pops out of the ground, which it only has 10 minutes to do so, in which we actually see how they're going to get ready to pass the test, which Tankachi actually is excited to pass the test. However, the examiners say that they won't die unless they actually have a special vulgar, which they can only knock them out if they hit them in the right amount of force, so they can actually be knocked out. But he said that they can also fight back like crazy, which in a rabbit mole sort of way. So now they actually are terrified of the whack-a-nail mole. So they actually knew how they're going to beat them. However, they were actually have got a tool shop where they're actually going to grab a nail to actually a hammer to actually hit the whack-a-mole nail, which Tankachi actually grabbed a 5-ton hammer, but we actually see everyone else actually going to grab their shovels, their hammers as well. However, we've seen one man who actually see Renka as a weakling, because we actually knew that he said that he is way weaker than him, but he actually has a lot of confidence as well. So which means that everyone has gotten their hammers. They actually get ready to hit the nail moles, in which time actually begins, which we see how they easily pops up and actually dodges them. However, they also begin to fight back as well, knowing how the leaders of the Build On organization see the test actually goes on, which they actually say that they all actually participated, but there are only 97 examees as well. But, how are they going to figure out which one will pass the test? Which we see one man actually hits one as well, which his name is actually Shizuka Ilki, the guy who's actually the silent bailer who met Tankachi, as which we seen how Bar actually hits one as well. So we actually see everyone else actually fights as well and hitting the moles, but we now knew how everyone else actually continue on their quest, which we see Renka actually hitting the mole as so as Tankachi, but we actually see him destroying the stage, but we actually see everyone else getting ready for the second test. So we're going to see what's going to happen next. So we actually see how the definition of vulgar actually explains, but we also see the Wackanale moles and what they actually looks like. But we actually going to tell how everyone actually passed their first test. So we're going to see what the second test actually looks like on the next chapter next weekend. So anyway, like this video, subscribe for more, and comment what you think about the manga chapter. You guys can also follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, and my Facebook page. Until then, this is Anime Guy Jordan here saying signing out. Laters, and be safe.